Grand Rising and good day, soul siblings. It's Shay Seeking, and this is not your mama's Bible study. We are looking to tell her story because his story lied. Okay? So, again, we're going to go ahead and look at culture. I don't know, it just came to mind because I do say a lot about, what's our culture and what's not our culture. And it seems that we are the only people on this in this so-called world that seem to not have a culture, or we have had it stripped from us entirely and given certain things like hip hop in order to explain the culture of the so-called Afro-American, which is just the original or origine of original people of the Americas. And that is, I believe, at least to this point, now seeing a little bit more that we're talking about a portion of North America, including any of the warmer climates, all the way down into South America and her islands. Okay, so I hope you guys can hear me. It's raining and I'm sitting out in my sunroom. It's about going on 12 o'clock. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and go into it. So I kind of just selected a couple of things within the last couple of minutes to reflect on some things that came to mind from the very first sentence, because I was shocked to see what it's actually saying. And this is why, again, we're going to say words and terms that we may not understand right away. But again, the more you look into things, the more things open up and show themselves to you. So right here is saying culture as a noun, mid 15th century. And then it's talking about I was shocked to see this. I actually really was. The tilling of land. So right there, that lets me know that we're going right into the book of Genesis when it comes to better understanding the biblical aspect amongst the historical and where we are possibly and why we are where we are now. Okay? So again, mid 15th century, the tilling of the land. And this is an act of preparing the earth for crops. So right there, what we're talking about is when God said to till the earth. Okay? Since we know that this is what we're talking about, and we know the earth is for origine or the earliest first people of a place, even in the concordance, okay? That even when we're talking about, because he hadn't made a man to reign on the earth, that's also not talking about rain. Like I said, it's raining now. That's not that type of rain. They spell it that way, but it's clearly talking about someone reigning, like having control, or a king, or someone having rulership to a certain extent over this. Okay, because again, there's no reason for any of this to occur if we weren't talking about people. But again, religion will give you a false notion, okay, and a false perception as to what we're talking about here. Okay, so the tilling is just a breaking up of the land that was strong, firm, solid, okay, and producing on its own. But someone wanted to break it down, to break it up, to loosen it up, to flood it, to water it, to cultivate it, in order to grow something from it, to form a man possibly from it. Okay? The land is representing the people. The tilling is all of the horrific things that they did to bring the original people of this landmass and others down to nothing and place them in the bottom of, well, not even in the bottom, to kick them, or again, we use this term aboriginal, which means that you've been casted away. Okay, and in the caste system, it makes a lot of sense because these are the untouchable, Dalit people, the latrine cleaners, the lowest people of the earth. Okay, that are not even included in the abode or the heavens or the temple of God. They are way at the bottom, under the ground, dead by law in the Sheol when it comes to the dome earth. And again, when it comes to the caste system, that is the people that is underneath everyone else. And there is enmity between those people and then the servants and the Slavic and the peasants and the commoners that will be at the bottom of God's abode. These are the children that he formed from the dirt, and they have been placed in they have been brought into these lands on top of the backs of so-called black or dark or original peoples, okay, of a darker hue. I mean, we're getting limited to the words that we can use because none of them work. Like black and colored and all of this stuff is not even talking about you Afro Americans, okay? So, yeah, so this was an act of preparing the earth for crops. What these crops would be native people, indigenous people, foreigners, immigrants, aliens, okay? Fish of the sea, fowl of the air. All of these things represent something for groups of people that were planted or surplanted, okay, onto the earth. And that is the original people, and they took form, right? Meaning that they took up all of the customs. I don't even know if we can use that one because I haven't done it yet, of the original people, okay, by living amongst them for a certain amount of time. Like it says something about those who sojourn with you, I don't know, at thy borders or whatever, at some point in time, and they're gonna come in like an eagle and be they're gonna bring you down real low, and then they're gonna come up really high. Okay, so these were the threats, I believe, to mostly the dry land because these people did not want to be amalgamated, irrigated, cultivated, or anything to take in these people. Okay, at one point they were enslaving these people as they found them at their borders, or if you see images of the Incan and Maya colonies, that they were killing these people. And I find it funny that a lot of these images that we see today are of basically a wooden stake or some type of stake being driven through the heart of these people. And it's kind of funny because I just started to watch New Moon with my youngest daughter. We used to watch it a long time ago when it came out with my other daughters. And then I kind of went back into it to see if there was something that I was missing. And lo and behold, there's a lot, because usually these movies have something to do with something in real life that they've taken and put it in another context to turn it into a form of entertainment. But then they always have subliminal messaging and things like that in them that you can pick up on. So it's kind of funny when I'm going to talk about some stuff a little bit later about the Cullens and how even my oldest daughter even shouted out, wow, that kind of reminds me of how they came over here and blah, 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 blah. So again, we'll find something kind of strange, I don't know, about this, I think, in the end. So again, preparing the earth for crops. Okay. And the crops, again, are the fruit and all of those other things that came in and, multiplied, filled the earth, these things. Okay. So again, cultivating agriculture, okay, figuratively, right? Care, okay. So again, these people would have some kind of care taken to them. They would also be treated badly at some point in time after they had gotten whatever they needed out of these people. So again, think of it like this. Original so-called black people were here in America prior to 1492. They brought in groups of people to commingle with you, mix and amalgamate with you at some point in time. And then they started to make that illegal once they got the population up to build or create, like we were talking about in Genesis, to create the same type of fruit that it came from. Okay? That means create the same type of people that it came from. So once they're able to stand on their own and grow their own fruit that comes out looking like the fruit that they are, trying to get to the image of what God would be, okay, then they would also send in a new group. So let's just say that would be the indigenous people, okay, that attached to the people. Then they would pluck from the indigenous people what was good, right? And then they would go ahead and have the indigenous people possibly mate with the native people, okay? And once they're done with those people, they would decimate them as well in order to then bring in so-called white people, European, certain groups of family lines that started here in around the 1600s that came in abundance. And let's just remember that when we're talking about those 20 and some odd colored people, and we're talking about the so-called first white women and families that came in the 1620s, this is after them bringing down, okay? Again, this is even when we're talking about ancient Egypt, not modern day Egypt, not Egyptology, not what they have you having a perception of. We're talking about ancient Egypt here in America. When they're done with what do they always stop? They start at the 18th dynasty, right? Okay, so again, the information about the 15th and 16th dynasty would be there, but again, we focus more on the new. Okay, so we'll keep going. Sorry about that, but you'll see that the ancient Egyptians mimic or mirror exactly what the Incan and Mayan people were doing. But even prior to the Inca and Maya, there were the Moshe or Mocha or Mocha people of that area that would be pre-Incan and Mayan. That means that these are closer to the original people that were here already. Okay, so cultivating agriculture, figuratively care, culture, and honoring from past participle stem of color. I don't know if that's supposed to be for color. I don't know. It sounds very similar or looks very similar to me. To tend. Now, see, okay, so then we go back and now God was doing his thing in Genesis 1. In Genesis 2, the Lord God comes around and he scrapes up some stuff from the dust of the earth. Again, that would be probably the indigenous people. But indigenous also is really the offspring or the grasses that we talk about in the Bible. It represents that had its roots in the earth, but it sprung from the earth in something new, a subgroup or sub race, which would be considered to be maybe lighter in the spiritual and physical also aspect. And then he made a man to what? Preside, just like your president in the east of the garden, just like your DC is, okay? And then he wanted him to tend, excuse me, to the garden and trim it and keep it and make it nice and good, because God liked to remove darkness from things and create light, okay? So again, to guard. Again, this might be why some people were put in reservations, to preserve what they had created. And then later on, those particular people would be invaded by $5 Indians or a lighter race of people or group of people that would come in with those people on the reservation and take over so that they can then produce another form of people. And then, it's funny because I think I was trying to watch RoboCop because I heard there was some symbolic things in there. And I thought it was the full movie, but it was just a clip. But I noticed that a lot of the so-called white people that were in the movie had very kind of coarse, kinky kind of hair a little bit. And I always tell you guys, even look at Native Americans, look at certain groups of people Puerto Ricans, so-called Mexicans. Again, when I split these groups up, I am doing this just because that's what they have done. I see no one's life or no one's existence on this plane uh, uh, better than anyone. We're all here now. We are not, we are our ancestors, but then again, we don't have to apply the same, or we don't have to fall for the same things that they did, is what I want to say. Okay, so again, I don't hate anyone and I'm not causing separation. The only reason why I have to explain it like this is because this is how it is written. This is how we untangle the web that we're in. Okay. So again, it says to tend, to guard, to cultivate. Also, Noah's flood has something to do with uh, many waters coming in. It doesn't have to do with the earth and this ark or whatever. The ark is representing something that was put together, and I believe it has a lot to do with the caste system in order to preserve a certain group of people, and then let the other ones be washed away in a certain extent, okay, or to a certain extent. Let's see, I really don't want to make this too long, but I always have these other things to say because I'm feeling like it might strike someone, because again, we're all at different levels of this, of inner and overstanding, and we're all at different levels of the awakening. So I'm trying to tap into everyone when we're doing this, okay, and that's why some of it may be repetitive, okay. So again, okay, to guard, to till, okay, and that's a negative effect on the original people, which is you, okay. Cultivate, see colony, meaning the cultivation or rearing, okay. You know, it kind of sounds like child rearing, right, of a crop, act of promoting growth in plants. Now, so it is rearing crops, controlling, okay, because the government is just to control your mental, okay. So an act of promoting growth in plants. So this would be, again, when we're talking about indigenous, native, and foreign alien people or groups, okay, these are the plants that they're worried about keeping them. And I'm telling you, when we're talking about Adam and Eve, this is exactly what we're talking about. The covering, the clothing, it can also mean your covering, or the hue. Even when we're talking about the Amerindian and all that, that is the going one way with going the correct way with amalgamation, and then there's a way. I think the something Indian, Amerindian, and there's another one that is the back flowing of it, where it's going back to what it was, and that did not make God happy. And when he came to check out the garden, he saw that something was not right, and he was pissed off. Okay, so again, the birthing pains is not talking about us having babies today and it hurts. Okay, even animals are in pain when they deliver babies. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about birthing pains, like the birth of a nation, like the Nat Turner story, like things like this, revolts and earthquaking and shaking. That's you. And that's what you're able to produce once you wake up and see who you are and you tap into that all. Okay. Again, the temple is within you, and we are the ones that we're waiting for. Okay. And they know that. That's what this whole corona thing is about. I'm not going to go deep into that today, but it definitely has a spiritual aspect. If this is a spiritual war, then you have to see that that is another aspect to this, and that the corona has something to do with, yes, it does have something to do with you. I believe that's just me tapping into my all spiritual kind of outlook. Again, I don't even like to use the term spiritual anymore, but again, using discernment and just going with the guides that have been given, okay. I feel like, again, the corona has something to do with something more, and you need not fear it, okay. That's what they want you to do, okay. So let's keep going. Was transferred to fish. Again, the fish of the sea, okay, also represent your maritime people and families that came from another place, that left their mother and fatherland in order to cleave onto their wife, which would be groups and land partials here in the America, and any of the people that were on that land, in order for them to manipulate, okay, and construct and form this whole thing the way that they wanted it to work, okay, for God, okay. And going against God in these times, like in the 1800s, would be your abolitionists and those who may have really only been fighting for their right to be free, but they would give you also the perception that you were freed, just the same way as thinking that, let's see, that they are the children of God, right? But they have given you the false notion in order to give your energy to that instead of self, to think that you're included in that paradigm when you're not, unless they're talking about serpents or anything dirty or, whatever, or dark. That's when they're talking about you in a sense. This is just what I've come up with so far from the years of studying, that I can give you like on a surface. If you want to know more, you can also check out some of my videos that I already have up on YouTube at American Aborigines Unchained, if you're not already watching this on that channel. We also have a group on Facebook, American Aborigines Unchained, where me and lots of other people are sharing information about these particular type of things. Okay? So, all right, let's keep going, y'all. Okay, we got a lot to cover. So, was transferred to fish, oysters, etc. There's so many other things in the ocean that we could talk about. There's so many. Why, if we're really talking about animals, don't we talk about many more animals? Why do we only name them off as to what these are? Again, it's easier to give you that false notion that that's what we're really talking about, and it's not. Okay. So, by 1796, then to production of bacteria, see, almost like a fungus among us, or a parasite, a parasitic groups of people, right, that would just come and suck off of the original people and leave them, I was going to say high and dry, but they would leave you down low. And again, if you want to go and look at that Illuminati, I told you guys you can Google George Washington Illuminati. You will see his Freemason image, and you will see that in that little dome thing that looks like the dome earth underneath his feet, that is pertaining to the so-called black man and woman that call themselves that, not knowing that it's a misnomer, or even what does God say in the Bible, byword or whatever. These are the things here. Okay, you are the people that they may forget about themselves, that at some point you will then remember. Okay, so microorganisms in a suitable environment, 1880, and then notice 1860, 1880. This is when a lot of stuff started happening to certain groups of Aborigines here. With different laws and things that were put in place, especially in the South, that would affect you heavily. Then product of such a culture in 1884, okay? Okay, now this is when they started to tell you that, if your mother was a slave, you're a slave, and all this other stuff. So it really, all these slave laws and everything didn't come up until the 1800s. So I'm trying to figure out who was enslaved at first, what was going on between those 200 years now, from the 1600s to the 1800s. And I know that there was a lot of chaos probably around that time, okay? So again, just before we get too far away from here, no, we're just going to finish this. The figurative sense of cultivation through education. Now listen to this here, okay? The figurative sense of cultivation through education, systematic improvement and refinement. Are we talking about replenishing the earth? Are we talking about the replenishing that we're talking about in Genesis? Of the mind. That's what your government is. It is blatantly simply talking about control of the mental, okay? And again, that's why they call them probably the head of state, because again, you're not using yours, you're using his, okay? It's all GMO, okay? Is attested by 1500. Let's see, not common before the 19th century, except in the strong consciousness of the metaphor involved. Let's see, meaning learning and taste, because this people we're talking about when we're talking about for food, or when he told whoever it was in the biblical, I can't remember, I don't think it was Ezekiel, but to eat the scroll. See, okay. I don't think he was telling him to eat a piece of paper. I think he was just saying to consume it, to memorize it, to know it, in order to, then relay a message. The intellectual side of cultivation is by 1805, the closely related sense of collective customs, achievements of a people. Again, all of your achievements from the old world that we're talking about in the Old Testament would be given to other people. Okay? A particular form of collective intellectual development, 1867. Okay? So again, we're going to go ahead and stop here really quick. Okay, we're going to stop here really quick. Yeah, we're going to stop real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and look at what happened in the days. Let's see. Day 5, sea creatures and birds. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in whatever. Okay, so again, this is also if we're using the way that these words are broken down. I'm not going to be exact, but again, I've already formed this opinion by researching the words, so I'm just giving it to you that way. I advise you not to listen to anything I say unless it intrigues you, and then to do your own research. So again, the sea creatures and birds, let the waters bring forth abundantly. Okay, so again, the sea creatures could be representing the people or the way that they got here, okay? And bring forth the waters, and let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. Again, a moving creature that could be life, since a creature is just something that was created. It could be a ship or a boat that is bringing living creatures from other portions of the lands into the Americas in order to fly above the earth and live in the abode of God in this manner. Okay, so let's see. And God set, I'll say, so this also happens in the 5th day. And God set them in the firmament. Again, this is the caste system, that temple, that pyramid that's also on the back of your dollar bill with the eyeball on top of it. Okay. In God we trust. I was going to say crust. In God we trust. Okay. Which one? And who should be doing it, right? And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Not on it, but in it. Okay? And the evening and morning was the 5th day. Okay? And then right here it says days of creation list. Day 1, light. Day 2, atmosphere and firmament. Day 3, dry grounds, plants. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars. 5, birds and sea animals. Okay? So let's keep on going. Okay? Uh-oh. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at this one here. Okay? On day 4 of creation, God made the stars and everything that exists in the universe above. Okay? This is talking about the caste system. Remember, there's enmity or a space between that pyramid or that triangle and then that platform that will be the earth that's underneath it. That's not attached to it. Okay? And this is why, again, so many people can come here today and get certain benefits that you cannot get, okay, in order to advance or go above you or sell in your neighborhood or open up businesses in your neighborhood, but they won't give it to you because these are their children. They are the living creatures, and you are dead by law because you are so-called black, and that's what you're calling yourself ignorantly because you lack knowledge and this is where we are. And so when we want to ask why, you'll see. And it doesn't have to do with your tone or your shade at this point. It has to do with who you are and who you were. Okay? So again, a universe above and the expanse that is Shemayim. Okay? Okay? God created two large heavenly bodies, the sun and the moon, one to watch over the day and the other to watch over the night, the stars and all things. Okay, okay, on day 5 of creation, God made some living creatures, birds in the sky and sea creatures in the sea. Why he created birds and sea creatures apart from the land mammals. Okay, could that be you? Separate from. See? Why he created them separate from. Okay? Apart. Okay? And other land dwelling creatures is not known. I know why. Because one is to be having their back bent and have everyone using them forever. Because again, Genesis is nothing but the story of them and their creation. You were already here. Okay? God blessed these creatures, so he blessed those creatures and told them to be fruitful and multiply, like they still do today, and you still sit in your ghettos. And even when it comes to natives, even though they hating on us and they come in and infiltrating the group and talking all that smack, they have been, excuse me, preserved or trapped in some form of a reservation. You know, ours is just called the ghetto or the hood. Okay? A so-called community or whatever. Okay? And fill up the waters and the sky with their kind. Again, now they're creating their kind on your earth. So again, you are a primitive pre-Adamite peoples that were already here prior to their creation story that they start to talk about in Genesis, as if they didn't just build their abode or the house of God, okay, right on top of a prior group of people. Okay? But again, God told them to do it. So you can't be mad, really, can you? Unless you're going to be mad at the right person or being, okay? Yeah. And there was morning and evening. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end there. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, comment, or subscribe. If you are subscribed, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when videos come in. And if you want to join us in the Facebook group, American Aborigines Unchained, please feel free to do so. If you have something to share, or if you would like to find out more information like this, or any type of alternative information that can help uplift our people, you will be able to find it there. And again, it's not just from me. Okay? So again, I want to thank you guys for stopping by and bearing with me. It is kind of late, but I am going to go ahead and try to do this second part. So please stay tuned. Okay. See you guys soon. Take care.